How's it going, everyone? Got a video today where we're gonna let you in on another one of my vehicles. I've been building this specific thing now for a couple months, I believe, and I just basically finished it. So it's as close as it's ever been to completed. Nothing's truly ever 100% finished, but we're gonna go over this and just kind of give you the rundown on it. So let's just get right into it. Here we are, we got the Yerf dog Spiderbox. It's got a model number, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but if anybody is looking specifically for a video about a Yerf dog, I mean, these are probably the most common ones. And I bought this because my buddy was actually given one for free. And nobody knew if it ran or anything. You can see it's a little neglected right now, but we're gonna eventually get that thing going. But in the meantime, I've been working on mine and it's come a long way. So we'll basically just go around it real quick. I'll tell you a little bit about everything, and then we'll do a deep dive from the front end all the way to the rear end and just go over everything. So this entire chassis was completely restored, every single nut and bolt, suspension, everything's repainted, steering components, new floor pan, seats, everything was repainted, Predator 459, disc brakes just on the rear axle. Again, new suspension, refreshed brake components, Go Power Sports, 40 series torque converter, and just a stock height, just a simple refresh, just a quick restoration. Okay, so starting off at the front, we have this steering box, just basically disassembled the entire front end and just brought everything down to metal, primer, paint, new hardware. Something you may be able to notice on video is this arm is actually technically bent in a little bit right here. This side of the go-kart did have an impact before I bought it, so it did need an upper and a lower arm. I only chose to replace the lower arm because the top arm really isn't that bad. As you can see here, these welds are a little different compared to this side. So that's the new arm, and that's the bent one, but everything works really good. No issues. We bought these shocks off of Amazon. I believe these are a 10-inch shock. The 10-inch version was just fine. It seems to be the same spring rate and seems to operate just as the factory ones did, so I just ran with those ones. Got the factory wheels that came on the Yerf dog, just put new tires on them. Same tire dimensions, didn't go up in size or anything. We got zinc plated ball joints and tie rod ends. The ball joints in these are famous for being really bad, and these ones were actually bad, so they were changed out. Factory spindles, just refreshed. Like the wheels, everything was wire wheeled, cleaned up, primed, painted, and it turned out really good, especially the front end. I'm really happy with it. Again, all new hardware and stuff. And the steering rack, same thing, all new hardware, just freshened up, painted. Something that is very common on these is to cut notches into the steering rack on both sides. These are super known for not having a lot of turning radius, and by cutting those notches in, it makes a huge difference. Next up, coming from the steering rack, is just these universal joints in the steering shaft. Those were all sanded down, repainted, as well as this, just to hold what holds the steering wheel. And if you want to add switches, this was just all sanded down, repainted. You can see this matches the color of all the front suspension stuff, as well as the brush guards. Again, sanded down, primed, painted, new hardware, on these. New hardware for the pedals. The pedals were painted, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of wear. So I do plan to take the face of the pedal, and I think I'm gonna put grip tape on that as well. I've got grip tape on the sides of the pedals, just so when they're being used, it's not scratching the paint up. It's just rubbing against the grip tape. The linkage for the brake and throttle were refinished, and this floor was actually cut out and replaced. The steel pan that they run under these go-karts they're not super thick. If you stand on them and kind of jump around, they like kind of creak and make like a warping metal noise. So I just wanted to replace it. And then something else, and because there was rust under it, but something else is they don't put the metal from here back factory. So, and I knew that if I had my phone in my pocket or something and it just so happened to fall, I wanted it to fall into this cavity and not underneath the cart. Next up is the seats. These are very similar to factory Yerf dog seats. These are technically just lower than in a factory Yerf dog seat. These are off of Jegs. They're just plastic bucket seats. But these were close, and I just wanted it to look like it was just a restored Yerf dog. And these seats were pretty cheap. They were like $60 a piece. So it was like $120 together, and then some shipping, of course, but turned out really well. The steering wheel kind of bummed me out. They got some paint on it, and I tried everything to remove this and couldn't get it removed, so not sure what I'll do about that. I might replace it with something different. Working our way to the back here. As you can see, all the brackets that mount the master cylinder are painted, as well as the master cylinder is refreshed. All the lines are cleaned up. Got the reservoir mounted to the torque converter. New shocks on the rear from Go Power Sports. They're just 12-inch shocks, just a nice replacement. Rear wheels are the same, just cleaned up, sanded down, primed, painted. New tires. And then the 40 series Go Power Sports torque converter, which is covered up with this plastic cover that they sell. I really like the cover option just because it keeps the go-kart like minimalistic. It just keeps it clean, and you don't have to worry about anything getting in there. Then we have the Predator 459. I believe this is Harbor Freight's biggest single-cylinder engine, and it is double the horsepower and about triple the torque that this kart came with factory. So this thing used to have, like what these karts are designed to have, is an 8 horsepower motor and 8 foot-pounds of torque. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is a 16 horsepower, and it's like a 24 foot-pounds of torque. So definitely has enough power to haul this thing around with me in it. So we modified the swing arm here for the Go Power Sports engine plate. Normally these swing arms have a bar that comes up. It's actually a tube. It comes up and over, and that's how the factory engine mounts. We cut that off, and I welded this square tube on here to go across to the other side. And then because we had to run a sprocket that's so big, it would have actually hit the front tube here. So we cut that tube out, shortened it, put it up further. That way we don't have issues where the sprocket and chain is running into that front bar. As you can see there, it's got, 3/4 of an inch of room. We wouldn't have even been able to fit the sprocket on the axle with that bar there. So we cut that up, moved it forward, and then we have these Harbor Freight ammo cans. And basically the whole principle behind these is one for the passenger, one for the driver. You just put your belongings in it before you head out. If you're going out on the trail or whatever, it just makes more sense to me to throw my phone in one of these boxes, throw a water, maybe some snacks or something. It's been it's been a fun build. It's definitely taken a while just because I've been busy with other stuff, of course, just like anything, but we're at the stages now where it's getting to the point where I can probably start enjoying this thing now. So now that we've talked about the go-kart and kind of walked around it and just went right through it, I'm gonna add a little slideshow clip after this, just in case anybody wants to see pictures of the build from start to finish, just because I don't have videos of everything. I'll include that right now. So that's gonna do it for the Yerf Dog go-kart. Now you guys know that I have this. You guys know what's all done to it. And in case we ever make videos about it again, now you'll know everything about it, or you can get referred back to this video just to kind of see what it took to get this kart from where it was to where it currently is. And yeah, it's just been fun. You know, this is something that if you're not quite up to the task of like building a car, I think a go-kart is a great place to start, just because it's not your transportation that you're messing with. You know, this is just a toy. So if you can go buy a go-kart for $200, $300, tear it apart, paint things, and just learn how to just make something your own, you know, it doesn't really cost you that much if you just want to, you know, repaint it or whatever. But this one got a little out of hand with all new suspension and stuff, and especially the motor, you know. But anyways, thank you guys for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.